After talking to the web producers and going through research, an idea sparked in my head during brainstorming. I called it filter sets. This was inspired by design tools like Figma, where you have components that you define once and you can use them in many instances. The principle was the same. Filter sets would be created and managed in a separate space in URBNCat, and it's a very straightforward experience. You define a set, give it a name, and then you add filters that you would want to make a set out of. Once you define it here, it becomes available for use. I reviewed early wireframes of this concept with the web producers, and some things they mentioned made me realize that there are filter options like brand, price, and size that apply to every category. They kept referencing this as a global configuration of filters. I added this option to check a set as the global default, and when checked, all categories, old and new, would automatically have this filter set assigned to them if they don't have one already assigned to them. Clarity and visibility was a very common theme from research, so I added these tags to show where a filter set was being used. By design, this is only supposed to show a couple and then show the rest in a tooltip when you hover over a tag, something like this where it says 2 more. In hindsight, a dialog box or modal would have been better to make it so the entire list is easy to read. To apply sets, you have to go to the navigation section of URBNCat. The reason to make using filter sets part of the navigation experience was because product categories were also linked to navigation items. Navigation preferences were managed in this modal, which is the perfect spot to manage filters as well. So let me break down the interaction here. You have this drop down that you can pull filter sets from, but you can also just add filters directly with the add filter CTA. Web producers can add or remove filter options after pulling from a set, just like how you can adjust instances of a component in Figma. When they make changes to a set or manually add filter options, this callout lets them know that they can save this as a new filter set. By meeting our users where they are instead of forcing them down a specific path to accomplish their task, we are less likely to disrupt their existing workflows. Clicking on the Save as New Filter Set link changes this bottom bar to show an input to capture the filter set name. Once they add a unique name, they can save it, and it gets applied immediately and is also now available to use for other web producers. Filter sets are the central place for filter configuration definitions. So I had to plan for what would happen if a set that is being used gets updated. In Figma, those changes get pushed automatically if it's in the same file. But if it's a library, you get a choice to pull those changes. I took a similar approach to give the web producers more flexibility. They can pull the changes or ignore them, or in cases where they want to preserve any changes they may have made to their filter preferences after pulling from a set, they can save their configuration as a new set. In reviews with the web producers, they asked me if the filters they assigned to a navigation item would automatically apply to the subnavs. I hadn't planned for that, but it was an excellent call out to make it clear and give them a choice to apply the filters to subnavs if they wanted to. I review the designs with the engineering team every week as well, but for the most part, they had no concerns or reservations with this feature.